think. I have some questions for you, Minister, in relation to the proposed second tower to be built in South Australia, right next door to Parliament House. I don't know whether you've ever eaten lunch in the parliamentary dining room in South Australia. I know you've been hanging out there a little bit lately, but if you look straight out the window to the north from Parliament House, a 38-storey building is planned for that site. Of course, Parliament House is zoned as a heritage-listed building, and of course it's on the parklands, which is also a heritage-listed property. Many people who live in South Australia are very concerned about this building, which is right next door to the 28-storey building that was recently built by the same company, Walker Development, and it has it's got Deloitte's name on the top of it, the one next door. You'll know the one. So it's public land. It's underway without full approval. They have poured a lot of cement into the foundations. It's proceeding in lieu of the previously agreed 3-storey maximum height development. It's now zoned for 38 storeys. I wrote to you on the 8th of September expressing my concern, and I'm aware, and you may be aware, that many South Australians, 130-odd prominent South Australians, recently wrote and expressed their very public opposition, architects, past Labor premiers, church figures, trade unionists and so on. So my first question is, has the mandatory privately commissioned heritage impact assessment been completed as yet?
I might need to get some assistance from the officials on that one, Senator.
I don't have that information in front of me. I'll have to take that on notice.
I did write to you a month ago. This would have been a very predictable question for me.
Earlier on, there was a different senator who asked about a letter that he'd written to me. It turned out the department had replied to him. Why don't I try and find out where we're at with a reply to that? But more generally, I'm not sure whether there's anyone here today. I'm not even sure whether this necessarily triggers federal law, EPBC. Not every heritage matter necessarily involves the EPBC. So,
can I take that on notice, Senator? I think it might have, if it's gone anywhere in the department, it would likely be under an EPBC referral. It wouldn't necessarily go to our heritage team. So we can try and get that information for you today.
So that was my first question. Today would be great. Has the corporation formally referred the development as a controlled action to the Australian Heritage Council or to the department as required under the EPBC Act?
I'll have to take that matter on notice.
So, Mr. Edwards, if you've got some information, I'm surprised you're still lurking. I thought you would have bolted.
He's running.
Try not to lurk, and it's not very exciting information other than I can confirm that we have a referral, so we're not actively assessing that.
Sorry, you do have a referral or you don't?
We don't have a referral.
And why wouldn't you have a referral?
So again, it depends on the development and its impact on protected matters, and then the developer would need to self-assess to determine whether they're having a significant impact on any protected matters, and then if they decide they do, then they would refer to us for assessment.
Sorry, I'm an amateur here. To walk me through that again. They have to self-assess, refer this themselves.
Yeah, so it's a requirement under the Act that people self-assess whether they might have a significant impact on a protected matter. A protected matter could be heritage.
So that's their decision. Walker Corporation sit back and have a look at a piece of public land abutting our parliament, which is a heritage-listed building on public parklands material, and they decide that it's not worth referring to you. Is that the way that works?
That's how the Act is structured, yes, Senator.
there is capacity under the Act, though, for matters that are not referred by the proponent to then be considered. Do you mind just...
Yeah, so if we had significant evidence to suggest that a referral should have been made and a significant impact was likely, then the Minister's referring to call-in provisions. So you can call in a project and require it to be assessed. I don't have any background information about this particular project.
I'm asking this question on behalf of a large body of South Australian citizens who definitely see the case for that referral and would ask the Minister to take any action, or the department, that action that's available to it, to ensure there is proper examination of this significant project. What was to be a 3-storey building is now 38 storeys, and it's on public land. Don Dunstan would be rolling in his grave, as would Colonel Light. This is a travesty in terms of the heritage of our city.
So I understand that, Senator. So we're happy to look at that correspondence. It would relate to. We'd have to look at what the values of any heritage listing at the national level are, and determine whether that's a significant impact. We don't regulate other types of heritage, but we're happy to.
Well, we know South Australia doesn't always figure to the forefront of people's minds in other cities in relation to algae bloom and so on. But in relation to this development, this is a very important issue. So I'm asking you, Minister, to pay attention to this. And are you aware that
and of course I would dispute your characterisation of the algal bloom, especially given the over $30 million that has been contributed.
Plenty of South Australians would argue that they have not received sufficient attention. Let's leave that aside. I want to stick to my point. Thank you. Are you aware the development has commenced without any heritage consideration?
I'm not personally aware of that. I'm in the process of trying to track down what's been done about the letter that you wrote to me. But again, as Mr Edwards has said, not every heritage matter ends up being dealt with at the federal level. Some are dealt with at the state level under state legislation, just as not every environmental impact is dealt with by federal law. There are certain thresholds that need to be reached, and I think what we need to do is clarify whether this particular development reaches that threshold for federal law to apply.
And my questions are an attempt to impress upon you the significance and the view of South Australian voters and citizens on this. So you do have an intervention power.
Sorry, can I just give you a 1 minute warning?
Okay, sure. I'll get there. So I'm asking you to exercise your powers to do that, Minister, and to communicate. So I look forward to hearing your response to my letter. Can this development legally proceed under South Australian state government approval without your approval?
It would depend on whether or not it triggered the EPBC Act, Senator, but I think we have Ms Calhoun, I think, has got some additional information for you.
As Mr Edwards said, it hasn't formally been referred to us, but we have written to them to inform them what their obligations are under the EPBC Act and to consider that.
If site work proceeded without federal approval, and it should have had it, and developments later deemed to have a significant impact on the National Heritage Site, which many of us would argue, are there penalties, including fines and legal injunctions for such premature action in the absence of proper approval?
So you've heard Mr Edwards indicate that the Minister does have the power to call something in if a proponent has not referred and there is significant evidence in which that activity would have a significant impact on the matters in which we regulate.
And can you fine in the event that has proceeded inappropriately?
It would depend on the situation, Senator, whether or not we work with the proponent to put them into an assessment process. It would depend on where they were.
Could you provide to me on notice any correspondence, emails, any communications between the federal government and Walker Corporation or the state government in relation to this building?
We'll take that on notice for you, Senator.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Pocock.